everybody, and welcome to the 13th episode of the PureJoy Podcast. I'm your host, M, and this is a bi-weekly exploration into what brings people joy. It's not necessarily what brings them the most joy in life, but just something in their life that brings them joy. Maybe they've spent a lot of time doing it, or some time thinking about it, or they studied it, or whatever that kind of brings. It's just about diving into that topic and kind of breaking it down in their life and maybe why it brings them joy or what about it brings them joy. Today is no different. That is what we're here to do. And so without further ado, we will introduce our guest of the episode. Let's come over here. Make sure you unmute yourself in Skype. But now you have a baby in your lap. All right, this is... No. Now we're in. No. Where's... Yay, hey! He's eating your headphones.
Eating the headphones, yes.
Hello!
9 months, everything goes to his teeth.
Why is this not capping for mine now? Oh, there it is. Yay. Okay, awesome.
Yay!
So this is my guest of the episode. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who we're talking to today?
Yeah, so my name is Taupe. Go by TaupeBear. This is Orson. And that's what we're talking about today.
Talking about baby Orson today. Well, you've introduced yourself. Why don't we start off with just, we have like a little sort of episode starter for each of our interviews, and that is something that has just brought you joy today. A small joy, not your topic, but something just today that has brought you joy.
Well, honestly, it kind of relates to my topic because today we finally got him a toddler bed. And it's just like the joy of being able to put it together and see that you're able to give him something more and actually take care of and support him.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Did you guys spend some time today, I guess, as a family before this, putting that together?
Yeah, well, we had the frame put together. We found it on sale. So we got the frame on sale and we just had to go get the mattress and put it in it. But we moved it into the bedroom and got it all set up, and he was super excited whenever it came to him crawling around in it and playing and seeing all of his toys inside the bed.
Nice. This is one of those, a toddler bed, I would imagine, is one of those with the walls, the bar walls.
It's got some bars down the side of it, but not all the way, but it's close to the ground.
Okay. Yeah. Because he's moving a lot more. I like that. My small joy of the day is I finally got... Well, I finally got my couch. I had an old couch that it had some problems, and it was finally the last straw, and I got a new couch for our house, and the old couch was just in our living room because I didn't have any help getting the old couch out. And so today I just soloed the old couch right out of the house, and that was fantastic. It felt really great to just not have a couch in my kitchen anymore. Shitty old couch. Now we have a great couch for the living room. It's fantastic. And then my second one is that I finally pre-ordered Pokemon Scarlet Violet, so I'm pumped. That's like 1 week. It'll come out 2 weeks. I'm pumped. I'm so excited.
I think the last time I pre-ordered a game was whenever I worked at GameStop.
Yeah, man. I want to be assured that I have both copies right there on opening day, and I will go pick them up when I wake up and then come home and play them, and I'm very excited. Very excited. Very pumped. So with that aside, why don't we talk about your joy? What in life brings you pure joy?
Well, lately, ever since this guy's happened, it's really been just being a father. Doing all of that fun dad stuff, like seeing him grow up and everything like that is something that just... Every day I come home, he starts getting more excited. He's starting to associate dad, and he'll jump up and down. He knows what the dogs are, so watching him develop and get smarter over time. That
is absolutely amazing. When was Orson born?
January 8th.
So he's coming up on...
He's 9 months old. He'll be a year and 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, already.
Absolutely incredible. It's going to be a year so soon. So like this is I got to be around my niece when she was reaching this age, and Well, it's fantastic because there's so much development that happens so quickly, and you get to like see that new like thought occur, right? You're like, oh, I don't know, I like feel like we take thinking and doing things for granted because we just do them, but like every time that you can see that thought occur across his face and then he executes upon something new, is fantastic. You get to like see him grow.
It's all the baby milestones that he's going through right now. Like he's starting to clap his hands, he's starting to wave, he's starting to dance. Even whenever music plays, like Elmo, he'll start bobbing up and down. He puts everything in his mouth. He cries a lot. He keeps you up at night,
testing the bounds of everything.
Oh yeah.
So have you ever raised a baby before? Is this your first baby that you've been a part of raising?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is my one and done right here. Is what you would call it.
Did you do a lot of, I don't know, I know that like members of my family have like shelves of their bookshelves, you know, kind of at some point dedicated to the child raising books. Did you go through a lot of like classes, courses, things like that? No? Just figuring out as you go.
Nope. Yep. Just learning from Maddie because Maddie already had one. So that's where Vivian is. She's 7 years old now, so she's already been through it. So I have her experience to kind of fall back on and help keep me in line.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. At least, you know, at least you have that. That's absolutely wonderful to be able to, like you said, fall back on that experience whenever you need it, whenever something's going south, or even not, like whenever he's just doing normal stuff and she can be like, oh, that is this, and you can start to relate those actions. Yeah.
He sees himself. They'll play with mirrors, they'll talk to themselves, they'll babble everywhere. They get real motor skills and start moving around. We think that he's probably not far away from walking, honestly. Because I mean, he'll stand on his own and he'll crawl around.
Has he said his first like words? Something that you guys would be like, words?
Not necessarily. I would say like his first word, it'll probably come closer to a year whenever he has like actual association with it. But right now, like he does semi words like dada whenever I come home, mama whenever he's ready for her to go to sleep at night. Dog, whenever he sees a dog, he'll point his hands out and start doing this because he wants the dog. So it's just kind of those sounds that you think are words, but they're not like full on yet, but they have somewhat of an association to what it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my headphone.
Yeah, learning to play those association games and like try to get him to register like what is, you know, like what these words associate to is sort of a fun thing. Again, something that we don't like think about as we do and speak in our day, but when you talk to him, you can take a little bit more time and like create those associations. Is he showing any favoritism for a specific fandom of toys? You have a lot of different toys.
What are you trying to say?
Well, you're like pushing Bulbasaur on him at the moment.
Whenever he's in my office, all of these statues, he seems to go towards Tails the most. Mainly because he can reach it, but it's either that or the Dragon Ball Z DVDs that he's throwing down.
Yes, early into Dragon Ball Z.
He'll play with Bulbasaur. He's got his own little playhouse thing over here in this corner that my chair covers up. So he sits in here with us from time to time and I'll walk around that. Toy-wise outside of here, it's actually Hot Wheels.
Okay.
Lots and lots of Hot Wheels.
Okay, yeah, my nephew is very into the cars. Anything with wheels that can roll around.
Yeah. Well, he likes to grab them and the sound that it makes in the tin. And he's got all of Vivian's old ones, so he already has like hundreds of them to look at and play with and throw around everywhere in the living room. Yeah.
What has been your favorite thing about, like, you know, you've he's almost been here for a year now. Like, what's been your favorite part of this like learning experience?
Learning experience?
I mean, learning experience, just experience in general.
Oh man, it's got ups and downs. You learn that you're not going to be able to sleep. You learn that you're going to run out of diapers really fast and not realize it. But at the same time, you see him as he grows and develops, and when he cries, whenever he's upset because he wants you to hold him, or whenever he's fussing because he's hungry and wants food, and then the joy that you see on his face whenever you bring him a meal, like macaroni and cheese today was his favorite. He's tired right now, that's why he's rubbing his eyes. But it's mainly just been a lot of learning how to decompartmentalize and break things up, how to make time to clean your house, but at the same time have time to keep him calm and from freaking out or getting upset or crying. Or a lot of the times that just ends up with you holding him like this and rocking him just so that he's happy. That's all it is.
Just the right kind of attention. And that's funny because he's so back and forth, right? Like he's he'll, like, whenever you take the headphone away from him and stop him from the headphone, he'll begin a screech, and you'll rock him just a moment and he's back to it, back to fine, because he's not crying. He's just like, doesn't want whatever he's doing being taken away from him.
With him, if you sit back down and he doesn't want it, he'll start crying again.
Oh, he's still in that like most.
See, and it's just because I'm sitting down.
He wants to move. He wants to move. So much energy.
As soon as you stand back up, he's happy, but he still wants the headphones.
Has it been hard trying to keep up with his like levels of energy, or is it up and down enough?
It's got good days and bad days. I will say that. There's days where it's not necessarily a bad thing because he's going through like a developmental curve. Yeah. So he's learning something new. But during those stages, he's not sleeping as much. His brain's firing. He's staying awake. He's crying. He's upset because he doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to figure it out. Like whenever he was breaking teeth, which he already has 6 teeth.
Wow.
Six chompers, fully grown. Yeah. Yeah, he's getting tired. I can try.
So what is a day like in like raising Orson for you and Maddie, really? Because I know that you also do a lot, you work a lot, right?
I mean, most of it falls on Maddie, which I love her to death for it. Because I go to work and I will work for 8 hours a day and then come home, and then she goes to work after I get off. So I'll drive her to work, and then I'm watching him until about 9 o'clock at night whenever we pick her up, and then we'll bring her back, and then she puts him to bed. It's a lot of back and forth between caring for him, but you know, that's partnership. That's what you go into it knowing that you're going to have to make sacrifices and give up a lot of your personal time to take care of him until he's big enough to take care of himself.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I feel like oftentimes too, it you know, it may in the moment feel like, oh dang, I am sacrificing, but overall, like, you know, do you feel like you free at last? Do you feel like you are sacrificing, or you like really into like this? Because you know, at some point, like a workload is only as work as it is, you know, not joyful. Because if you're finding the joy in doing it,
I mean, it's being in it. It's really joyful just being there, seeing him, watching him grow whenever he does all of his milestones. Like there was a day we were at Golden Corral or somewhere, and like he stood on his own without holding on to something just for like a couple of seconds. And it's whenever you see that and you know, like, okay, he's starting to learn balance. You're just like it overfills me with joy because I'm proud. Like he's mine. You know, there's not going to be another one like him. And all the time, like, I think about it and I see him, I'm like, you know, if one thing happened completely different in my life, like, he wouldn't exist. And that's whenever you start getting like those deep down feels of like, he's here, he's mine, I made this, and I get to watch him grow, I get to watch him learn, I get to do what my parents did with me whenever I was growing up. And it's kind of like, in a way, you get to just relive those memories of your childhood now through them, because you're now the parent role.
Yeah.
But you always looked up to your parents. You always saw your parents there whenever something went wrong. They were there to help you. So it's kind of like reversing the roles, but still living the experience.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Almost like a sense of like nostalgia, but from the other point of view.
Oh yeah. In mine, like, everything kind of falls into place the same. Like, my mom had my my half sister Megan already, and then her and my dad got married, and then they had me. Well, Maddie had Vivian, and then me and Maddie got together, and now we have Orson. So I'm kind of like within that same kind
You're
of
seeing the same like cycles,
frame of like family structure, like all of that. So it's a trip, but it's great. Like, it's a good ride to be on for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just getting the opportunity to be around him and like, you know, help with teaching him these things can really like help with a sense of just like gratitude for life and having, you know, gotten you to this moment. It's not even necessarily like, you know, you don't necessarily have to have loved all of the ups and downs, but there's like a sense of like just joy, you know. There is a sense of joy just having found yourself here, you know, through all of the ups and downs to this moment.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs, I'll tell you. A ride of life.
Have you learned anything about like yourself or the way that you go about your own daily life because of Orson and watching him grow?
I mean, I kind of feel the same. Whenever I come home, I'm just in a lot more of a better mood because I get to see him now and be there. It's not like before I met Maddie, whenever I was single, and, you know, I'd go home and you would sit there and kind of be like, yeah, it's another night with me and the dog. So I consider myself more of an introvert, but I enjoy having people around me when I'm home, because otherwise it's just kind of mundane. So having all that little bit of chaos that gives a spark, that gives you something to do throughout the day, like you and your couch and wanting to get rid of it for being there, me getting the new toddler bed. I mowed my yard yesterday. Like,
wow.
Whenever you have a kid, like, it's funny because like the simplest things, but whenever you have a kid that you constantly have to give attention to, and you achieve something like mowing the yard or trimming down a bush, just one small thing that you actually get that 15-20 minutes to do, feels so much more rewarding, because it's like, yes, I tackled this and I've been trying to do it for 2 weeks now. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine the extra burden another human being, the care of another human being would put on that, because I already struggle enough with like keeping up with everything around the house. I feel like today I can't do it all, so I'll do X, Y, and Z today and A, B, and C tomorrow. But without that sort of assuredness.
I'm going to try to attempt A today. If I get halfway done with it, that's good enough. Like, I'm sitting on a partial load of dishes right now, but I plan on finishing the rest of them soon. But I mean, whenever he cries, he just got done eating. He's covered in like pancakes and yogurt all over him. So you got to go throw him in the bathtub, because I was doing dishes while he was eating, multitasking, watching him. And then as soon as he started getting upset, it's like, okay, I did this much. I can finish it. I'll get there. Like, and it's just knowing that once you finally achieve even the simplest of chores, it's like you overcame like a hill that you would never expect to be like stuck at. Like, you really want it. You're like, yeah, you know, dishes, that's no big deal. But I got 21 pounds strapped to my side doing dishes. It becomes a little bit more work. But in the end, like I said, it's seeing him grow up and knowing that whenever he's crying, it's because he wants comfort, and you being there to supply that comfort and him calming down. Like, it feels really rewarding in moments like that, like whenever he hurts himself and you're able to pick him up and calm him down and get him to stop crying, because he knows that you're there for that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can always go back to a load of dishes later.
Right.
Take the moment to like show that sense of care. I think that's very important. I think it sounds like you're also finding lots of good senses of achievement, just because, like, you know, having the opportunity to get the load of dishes done is a check mark on a to-do list, you know.
It's crazy because it's like, before Orson, our checklist was like painting the entire living room, kitchen, hallway, painting the entire bedroom. I built a grooming tub for Maddie out of like 2x4s and an old like flat stand-up shower head that we mounted inside it. Doing things like that are more taxing, that take more time and all of that. Like, the big hurdles, those were like huge achievements then, but now it's just something so mundane. Like, yeah, I cleaned up the living room this morning, and I laid down on the couch and felt comfortable because it was clean for at least the next 30 minutes. And like, I was gonna enjoy it. So I ended up playing Viva Pinata, and it was fun.
Wow, it's been a minute since I've thought of Viva Pinata.
Right. Yeah. No, Vivian was, I tried to get her to spend time with Orson too. So I was like, hey, why don't you come play Xbox in the living room? We got it hooked up in the living room. You know, Orson can watch you. It'll be fun. And she played Slime Rancher too for a little bit, and she got bored at it. And I remembered that I had Viva Pinata 2006, I think, is whenever it came out. But I got it on like Xbox Live Gold, and I was like, Vivian, you might like this game. And she started going into it and naming all the characters and wanting to take the controller from me to play the mini games. And we were kind of doing that like hand back and forth that we would do whenever we were kids playing a game trying to beat it. And it was a lot of fun. So I was like, yeah, you know, Viva Pinata, it's relaxing. You can pause it when you need to. It's something you can play over time and not get like stressed out because you're trying to beat this boss while your child's crying in the back corner. Like, but
are you excited to start trying to teach him video games? Oh yeah.
One day he's taking over all this if he wants to, and I'm just gonna disappear in the background. When it's my time to retire, I'll be like, Orson, here you go.
Cub at your service.
I'll teach you everything you ever know. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Like, Vivian, she finally started playing video games not that long ago, and she's learning how to read. So she's actually getting into a lot more like complex reading games. And now she wants to play like Pokemon and try that. But whenever she would first pick up a controller, I remember how annoyed, irritated, and angry she would get because she couldn't figure it out. I mean, we got her a Wii, or not a Wii, a Switch, and me and her would play like Mario Kart or Mario Party. And I mean, she was only 4 or 5 at the time. So trying to teach her, you know, you can't always win. Trying to teach her the motions. She would get upset because she'd fall off the racetrack all the time, which props to Mario for putting in those barriers that keep kids on the tracks from falling off. But
bumper barriers or whatever.
Yeah. Eventually she got to a point though to where, I mean, now, and it surprises me because she looked up videos on YouTube on how to play Slime Rancher and learned how to play that entire game through doing what like a lot of us do today. Like, my washer just broke. I went to YouTube to learn how to look up the diagnostic codes to see if I could fix it. Like, and she's 7 years old doing the same thing to learn how to beat this game. Like, she has a strategy guide in her pocket and she's using it. So that alone, like seeing that development over the years, where now she's playing Minecraft, she's already beaten the Ender Dragon in the end game, and I haven't even done that. Like, so it's going to be a trip for him. I think that he's going to get into it. I'm hoping he does. I mean, sometimes they don't care for it.
Yeah, sure.
They got other hobbies, but you just have to be there for their hobbies and support what they want to do so that they can progress and get better at them and turn them into dreams, make the dreams real, all that. So whatever he decides, it's gonna be
it's interesting. You've got two different children at two like vastly different stages of life, but you're getting these similar senses of joy from being around and seeing them grow in like whatever way that is. Like you just said, like Vivian learning to do a thing that we do as like gamers now, and like on her own, and figuring that out is pretty interesting. That's just like, it's fascinating. And like at some point I started looking up games online when I needed help, and I don't know like when that was, but that's just like habit now. And if I need help or am like totally lost, I know that I could just go online and find it. And that's great that now she like has that knowledge. She's developed that knowledge. That's great.
Ever since Ryan's World, she's known all about YouTube. She's the one where she's like, I want to be a YouTuber. She sees me play Minecraft in here. She's like, you should join mine in Hunter's World so that you can turn it into a video and get millions of views. Like, she's all for it.
She's gonna be all over it.
Dude, it's great because it's funny because we always joke about it, but she's like a teenager trapped in a 7-year-old's body. Like, I mean, there's times where she locks herself in the room, and I'll go in there and open the door to see what she's doing, and she just turns and snaps her neck at me and goes, "What?"
Yes.
And I'm like, excuse you? But it's like, it's great too, because like that show Kids Say the Darnest Things.
Yeah.
Like you get moments like that you just you can't find it anywhere else. And it's those moments whenever they happen that you're just like, oh, you really just said that. Oh man, I hope nobody heard that. Or it's like
so much less of a filter.
She starts picking up on like slang that you wouldn't expect a 7-year-old to know already. Like, she's running around the playground, and then there were a couple of other girls that were saying slay, like slay it, girl. And like Vivian was like, I don't know why they kept on saying that word. Was that a bad word? No, Vivian. It's great. It's great watching them grow up. There's a lot of moments where you just you can't.
Yeah. I mean,
you can't make it up.
That is so true. I keep harkening back to the start of the conversation, and just the I spent, I don't know, before 4 months maybe living in my brother's house, 6 months maybe, I'm not 100% sure. And just like watching my niece in that amount of time, like learn and develop and like you said, like create the connections as to like what this action will do and what that means for her in this like space is wild. Maybe she bumps into a wall differently this time and than she did last time, because she knows now the wall is there, and the next time she like stops herself before the wall.
I'm waiting for him to learn that the bed doesn't it's not level with the floor. Once he learns that, we'll be good. Because there's times where he's woken up and we like stack pillows on each side, but he'll climb over them or through them and still find himself rolling off the side, and we're like, dude, by now you
went up and then down really far.
it's not like a far fall,
right.
Like it's not like he's hurting himself. It's got padded carpet underneath it and everything, so like he hits the ground, yes, but it's maybe he's falling maybe 6 inches, 7 inches down to the floor, and it kind of shocks him, but he still tries it. that one he hasn't learned yet.
Yeah, my niece had when she was learning to walk, she would crawl. I mean, you know, during the crawl phase, but as she tried to get into walking, what she started to do was keep the crawl, but then just like instead of both knees on the ground, one foot would come up, and so she was like Golem around the house, just like hobbling on one knee, and watching her learn to get that second knee under her and actually stand was very funny. But we, like, you know, we still as adults talk about her peg legging around the house and like thump thump thump, and it's great. It was great watching her like develop through that thump and what had to have been a bruised knee, because that's just the way that she moved.
Oh, I'm sure. Orson, whenever he first started crawling, he did like a military style crawl for the longest time, and I think a lot of it's because of how big he was, because he came out like 9 pounds 6 ounces, I think.
Okay.
And he was a big boy from the beginning, but now he's 21 pounds at 9 months old. So it's like him learning not only how to, but having the muscles to be able to hold up his stomach, and his core took him, I think, a little bit longer, but he was able to military crawl. And it's great because at our mall, we have like this kid zone area where it's like really soft padding, and it's got like really soft padded toys that they can crawl all over and everything. But we take Orson and Vivian over there, and occasionally there's some other kids. And I looked at this little girl that was like playing with Vivian, and I was like, hey, if you run, he'll chase you, and he's fast. And she took off on all fours, just like crawling around. And here's Orson just like
army crawling
through the mud, like arms, legs out. And I mean, he's literally maybe like 3 or 4 feet behind her the entire time. And we're talking like a 5-6-year-old girl just taking off. And I just see him on the ground, like pulling himself through the trenches. And I'm like, dude, whenever you walk, we're going to have to get him like a harness, a leash. Like he's going to be one of those kids that's just taking off whenever he can. So he's going to be a handful. Yeah, he's worth it.
He's worth it. That's absolutely amazing.
He's worth it.
Well, in all of this, where do you find the time for you? Kind of as a correlation to this, you in the beginning you said, you know, you sat here and you thought you have all these different joys, and you just didn't know what you were going to talk about. And I was like, well, we're gonna, you know, pick one. But you know, you're a father, and that's like a huge part of your life. But it sounds like your life is really busy. Where do you maybe find joy in your life outside of this, like in your you time?
It's mainly the 2 nights a week that Maddie lets me stream, where I'm able to sit down, get in front of the computer, crack open a couple of beers, play a game, have a good time. And that's, other than that, it's whenever he's taking a nap. I mean, you may get 20 minutes to yourself, you may get 2 hours to yourself, just depending on how well he sleeps.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. It's I think not this weekend, but the last 2 weekends, I took Orson out to my grandmother's house and spent the night out there, just so that Maddie can get like some full night's rest. So it's kind of like that whole partnership thing where you still have to be able to give and take and make time for each other to kind of step away for a little bit and be respectful of that, knowing that you now need to take over, you need to watch them for a while, just so that they can kind of get away and refresh and relax themselves. So normally I would take them a lot of times whenever Maddie got home, so that she can get up and walk away and clean the house and do some of the stuff that she's been wanting to do throughout the day. And it's just time for ourselves a lot of times comes in. Like I said, it's that giving and taking time from others, but getting it back in return. So
yeah, sure. I mean, like she watches him on X time so that you'll watch him on another time so that she can have that time as well.
But most of my time, I try and do it late at night so that she's getting him in bed so that she can still either start going to sleep or relax with them. So that's why whenever I start so late at night now, because I want to make sure that we're both kind of calmed down a little bit, have some time to do stuff. Like she was in here earlier playing her game before I did all of this. And once the game's over, she's going to watch him and he's going to sleep. And I might jump on a stream for an hour or two. I'm still debating on it, but you know, we find that back and forth and try and make it work. I feel like I definitely get the better hand, if I'm being honest. I feel like she takes him a lot, and just so that I can stream and do some of that other stuff and get those 2 days that I look forward to be able to do what I want to do at nighttime whenever the lights go off and the kids are asleep and I get to turn on the lights and drink a brew and sit in front of the camera and make a fool out of myself twerking and doing, you know, what other dad stuff.
Stuff, you know.
I mean, it's kind of funny because it's like my parents, they always told me we're here to embarrass you. That's why we're here. And it's kind of like my kids are going to see this one day and they're going to be like, Dad, why do you still shake your ass for the camera?
You have to use a walker. Stop doing it, Father.
I'll still be doing it because that's my job. Like that's what my parents instilled that I have to carry on is you've gotta be there to embarrass them whenever they need it the most. And I mean, my mom screaming, "I love you, son, have a good day" at my brand new job, just like any other sitcom that you would see on TV where people start making fun of you instantly because your mommy loves you. Yeah, that's what I went through.
Are you going to put Orson directly back through that on the first day of his job? You're going to take him, drop him off?
Every day.
Every day.
I'm going to get a loudspeaker. Like, I'm just going to have a horn that just has like, you know, the Ted in the movie whenever the bear says, "I love you." You could learn from your parents, and instead of being here to embarrass him, you could be here to support him. Oh, I'm gonna support him, but I gotta embarrass him.
Support him from the loudspeaker in the car.
Exactly.
So when you do find those moments,
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's true. It's true. When you do find those moments outside of, you know, being a father, you find your joy in streaming and playing video games on. After years of doing it myself, don't really know the end of that sentence. I always just say I'm a streamer. I don't know, play video games online is weird.
For me, like I think of it as a way of escapism, but also nostalgia, I guess you could say, because whenever I was a kid, I used to go over to my friend's house every single day, PlayStation, Twisted Metal. We were playing it to beat it.
Twisted Metal.
And it's like we played like that old school Lego game where you played as a cop on the computer, like, and it was a big open world one. Like, I moved around a lot, so I didn't have like friends that stayed with me for years and years and years to where I still know them today and we still hang out. It's like I had this group of friends from this age, this group of friends from this age, and then, you know, like we just kind of spaced further and further apart because I didn't know them that well. So being able to play video games online really kind of helped me find that niche, that clique, that group of people that I could hang out with, because I knew that regardless of if I'm moving from this state to this state, I'm still going to be able to talk to them. They're still going to be there the next day. Like, as soon as that internet's up, you still have that person that you can talk to and hang out with and have a good time with. So that's where, for me, video games kind of was around a lot, because I didn't have that repetitive friendship where I can go out. Because I mean, I've lived in Texas, Arizona, Oregon, Utah, Arkansas, and now I'm back in Texas. I went to 2 different high schools. I went to 1 middle school, 3 different elementary schools, I think.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, my dad's not military. It's he's an aerospace engineer. So I mean, we had to deal with September 11th. I mean, it affected everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad, working in the aerospace industry, they weren't able to sell airplanes after that happened. So because of that, their company, he worked for Bombardier at the time. They started laying off a lot of their employees. And then after that, you had the economic collapse in like 2008, which caused him to lose his job again. And he was never really able to get that seniority because all of this stuff that happened in life affected. And as soon as he would get his foot through the door, he wouldn't have seniority for whenever that happened. So he was one of the first one that was out.
Right.
So we ended up moving a lot. So I remember, like, I think Oregon, playing SOCOM, US Navy SEALs, way back whenever PlayStation 2 finally had internet. You had to buy that big Ethernet block and shove it in the back of it, and it came with Final Fantasy X. So I had it because of that, and I was like, you know what? Let's try this SOCOM game. And I mean, I met so many people on that. We played the game battles on the website where we were actually in like an MLG, playing against other clans and having that kind of camaraderie that no matter where I went, I could take it with me. And that's where streaming kind of brings back some of that. Because I mean, nowadays it's like you play a game, like say you're playing Call of Duty. Well, you jump in a Call of Duty lobby, everybody else who has a microphone is already in a party with their friends. So it kind of feels different now. Like you can join a game and it just feels like the entire game is dead and you're playing against computers, even though they're real people, because you can't talk to them. So being able to get on Twitch or somewhere where you can stream and you can find other people that have interest in that same game, they may play with you. Like, I mean, whenever we play Fall Guys or Phasmo or anything like that, like whenever you're playing a game that other people might want to play. Like I remember one night I played Dead by Daylight and I didn't expect it, but I had Ophi get on, I had Pib Life get on, I had Slacky get on, and we had a full team. Like, and I wouldn't even know these people if I wasn't streaming, to be able to put together a group like that I could actually play with and talk with and engage with and have that same kind of social interaction that I had if I was to join a DBD game on my own. Right. Because everybody would be in a party, you would be running around by yourself with nobody to talk to. So streaming on the side definitely brings a lot of that nostalgia and that camaraderie and, you know, that good vibes of just hanging out with people and having a good time back.
Yeah, it really creates a lot of those building blocks of, like you said, that like sense of community that...
Oh, dude. Not even, like, whenever I played Modern Warfare 2, I actually went down to where all of my other friends that I played with lived, and we hung out, like threw a party, everything, had a great time. And I mean, these are all people that I met online. And I mean, I found out that they lived like 5 hours away from me, and I was like, yeah, dude, let's hang out. Like, we all got together and hung out, had a good time. I think I ended up staying at my friend Ryan's house for the weekend. And I mean, it's just, there's so many people that you just come across that you would never meet otherwise. Like I would have never met you if it wasn't.
No, I mean, that's 100% true.
Getting online.
Yeah. Like being able to do this job has, I was in kind of the same position. I moved around quite a bit, different school districts in Texas several times, and then up into like Missouri and into several locations in that area as well. And it was always, yeah, I mean, I don't really have like a huge tie to a sense of like a greater community because I've moved around so much that like outside of my like direct bubble, I kind of lose track of things because it feels so ethereal, I guess, out there and less like defined outside of my bubble. But like Twitch has just, and like, you know, these online communities, live streaming and being able to do this is like really just expanded that bubble. Like I find myself like, you know, while I know all of our online names, I find myself like, you know, thinking about you folks and the people on here outside of this as well. Like, I wonder what these people are up to. I wonder, you know, when the next time we're going to be in the same sphere to play together again or to talk again.
Even then, it still feels like you're like a part of this person's life now. Like, we found out that Fiery is possibly getting offered full-time at her job, and everybody's excited for that. We know Adrian just like got over his knee surgery and he's still healing and everything and bouncing back from that, and he's in college and focusing on that. Like, you kind of like, we think about it, and we know that Toxic had his bathroom renovated.
That's true. We kept up with the whole process of him getting his bathroom renovated. That's true.
It's like, it's that you would think that you wouldn't know this much about these people, but whenever you start building a community, you start trusting each other, you start talking to each other, you start little by little kind of intertwining and learning different things about each other and knowing like, hey, you know, this person's going through a hard time right now for X reasons. This person's having a good day, this person's got this going on, and you kind of know a little bit more about everybody's life that you otherwise would be clueless about, would have never met them, would have never known what's going on. So it's crazy what Twitch can really do whenever you think about like the bigger picture of how it's bringing people together. You know, it may seem like it's not, but whenever you get small communities and groups of people that love hanging out, love chatting, and love talking to each other, that's whenever you can truly have something great with it.
I mean, I totally agree. I have found my way back onto a more regular schedule of streaming, and just like, there was a good period of time, probably a few months in there, that I didn't have the opportunity to, based on like work and all the stuff behind the scenes of the streaming, trying to keep it like flowing well. Just to really have the time to do it. And now that I found my way back into it, it's very nice, like seeing everyone come back out of the woodwork and like catching back up with them for the people that I haven't got the opportunity to. But also just like the fact that Matt, who was even our very first guest on the podcast, was like, you know, that we're close enough that he, you know, gives us bathroom updates and sends us pictures of his new bathroom and how beautiful it is.
Toxic is so close with his community. You can go watch a VOD where he's dressed up as Princess Leia for 12 hours straight.
Oh, I know. I'm going to be editing all 12 hours of that.
Oh, man. Oof.
Yeah,
I gave him so much crap for it, but I got to give him props for it at the same time, because you wouldn't catch me in it. You really wouldn't. Like, I wouldn't do it, but it was all in good fun, and I respect him for doing such a brave thing.
So while you use that time that you get to sort of your own personal time to play video games, it's more about like kind of maintaining this community you've begun to build.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the game too, because in the game there's always escapism.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I mean, I work a boring job. I sit in front of a computer all day for 8 hours a day. If I'm not outside building the boxes and the systems and the stuff that we sell. So a lot of my day, it's just like sitting cooped up in a cubicle, which nobody wants. So whenever you get to come home and it's like, it's game day and you're like, what am I playing? And you think about it, and like, a lot of my games have been horror lately, but that's because horror is a genre that you can fully immerse yourself in. Like, you can feel your heart race. You're afraid to peek around every corner. Like, it truly kind of engulfs you into the situation, because you feel like your life is much more on the line.
Yeah.
Is to if you were playing a game like Fortnite or Call of Duty, where you just respawn and run back and respawn and run back and everything like that. So to me, like, genres like that, but also like other genres, like I remember, dude, so get this, I bet you nobody knows this. Okay. I'll let you in on a secret.
Okay. Secret.
Are you
ready?
So
ready.
I cried at the end of Final Fantasy 15.
Oh.
Straight up. Dude,
Bear shed a tear.
The story, the story, the brotherhood, like what was going on in the ending that game without any spoilers was just it drew me back so much, and the story was so well written that yeah. I mean, there's games like that where you get so engulfed and so in like into the plot and what's going on and everything like that it affects you, like it really does. And if a game has great storytelling, it's gonna go far, like easily. So
yeah, the Final Fantasy series is a top tier, especially in the later ones when you start getting away from the over the top like world scrolling and into the like actual first person, third person like vibes.
Oh yeah, I remember playing the one where you play as the vampire dude, the red guy. I'm trying to remember his name. They did a standalone game on him.
Oh.
This one was called Dirge of Cerberus.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah, and that's where it's like a shooter style, shoot 'em up kind of game. I think it has first person and third person aspects, so it's kind of a lot like Devil May Cry in a way.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
It's just interesting.
No, but that's fantastic. Trying to like finding that sense of escapism throughout your day, getting an opportunity to build a community and kind of set down roots in a way that isn't necessarily like rooted to a place, but it's sort of just like, it's rooted somewhere. And in this case, it's on Twitch and online, but the roots of that community. It's a fantastic way, I think, to spend your time outside of that. On this topic of being a father, or for finding the time throughout your day while being a father to get that personal time, is there anything that we haven't like broached or talked about that you thought about while thinking about this?
It's mainly just boils down to family. That's where I find the most joy, it feels like lately. As I'm getting older, as I'm growing up, like having that family there to raise and to be a part of, and to have those people surrounding me every day whenever you come home. It's kind of a game changer from the way I was living before, going to college, single, like 21, going out partying every day, drinking copious amounts of alcohol. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've come a long way and grown a lot, but I also have Maddie to thank for that, because she's really good at stepping on my toes whenever I step out of line. So
keeping you what you need to be doing.
Props. Oh yeah, definitely got to give her props.
So really just like the growth that you've been able to like experience because of family, because of Maddie in your life, because of, I would even say probably a little bit because of, her daughter, and then now because of Orson and growing and having different responsibilities as a partner and as a step parent and as a parent.
It definitely takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
You learn.
Would you say that patience is one of the biggest things you've learned in all this?
Patience and self-discipline. I've improved a lot on, I feel like, from where I was at. I've still got a lot of like self-reflecting and growing to do, but the more I do it, the more I see these issues that I personally have and need to work on. So, I mean, you can only grow as strong as your last experience, and knowing those experiences exist and thinking of ways to change and improve upon them is huge.
And knowing that it's a lifelong journey. Like, I think that for your entire life, you will be figuring out yourself, right? We just have the cognitive awareness to say that we are figuring out ourselves. But like, really, Orson is going through the same things, right? Like, he's just doing it with bigger, grander things that we've already figured out. We know how to walk. He's still trying to figure that out. Now, we are learning how to, process what complex emotions and thought mean to us. And he'll slowly begin to do that. And now you'll get to like see that from his point of view too. And I think that is an amazing journey to go on.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to those teenage years.
Oh boy, the teenage years. You're already looking forward to the teenage years?
Oh yeah. No, I'm enjoying every step along the way. It's gonna be a lot of fun watching both of them grow up. I'm just hoping Vivian doesn't turn into my sister, and in the back of my head, that's always a scary thought, because yes, I love my sister, but at the same time, she was 5 years and 5 days older than me. So there were a lot of times where we were at each other's throat, where I was being that silly kid that would listen in on the phone call because I thought it was funny, and then have a cordless phone slammed into my back and my foot going through a door because I was angry at her.
Oh.
So
yeah, I mean, you know, it's you learning to process, for sure. You know, you learning to process, you know, your emotions and growth now, I think in a more cognitive awareness way could help them learn to process them too. Because, like, you know, once you get down like how to better go about these, you know, breaking down these emotions or breaking down this experience, you can really help them start to do just the same thing. And getting on that early in life when you're, you know, pre-10 even, is the best, because then they can start to actually break down what they're feeling before they hit puberty, which would be cool. Well, I think that we are going to start wrapping up here on the podcast, but it was absolutely fantastic having you on, talking about Orson and where you find your joy in your life around being a father as well. Is great to do a full through line there. But yeah, it was absolutely lovely having you on.
It was fun being here.
I mean, you know, we talked a little bit about here on this episode about how you are a streamer here online. Do you want to give yourself a little shout out? Tell the listeners where to find you and what kind of stuff you do there.
Twitch name TaupeBear. Tuesdays, Thursdays, horror games, shenanigans, classic games, good times, good vibes. M knows he's been
yeah, I mean, and that's really it. It's just a good fun time. I know that like, I feel like whenever I have to give myself a shout out, it's always kind of awkward, but I feel like
yeah, it's like, hey, watch me, we're down. It's cool either way, but we chill.
Yeah, but we chill. Horror games and sometimes community games, always a fun time.
I've been playing a childhood favorite right now.
What are you playing through right now?
Freaking Giant Citizens Kabuto.
Oh damn.
This game came out in 2000. I found it at a thrift store and played it when I was a kid. And I saw it on Steam, and I was like, I'm going to replay that. So we've been having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, I've been doing older games too. I've been doing Oblivion recently, enjoying old childhood favorites. There's just something about the nostalgic games. They just hit differently than a lot of these like polished newer ones. I don't have the nostalgic feelings for the newer ones yet. Some of them will earn it over time, but not yet. One day. I think one that's earned it for me would be like The Last of Us. Is one that I would continue to replay over and over again. Like Crash Bandicoot, whenever they came out with a remix of that, and then they came out with Crash Bandicoot 4, like just that nostalgia from that game, because I think that was the first PlayStation one I ever played. But yeah, the old Crashes bring that back a lot for me. I feel like the old, just like a lot of the old PlayStation games in general, the initial precursors, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, the initial ones, like all those really, really good, strong vibes. Jak and Dax. Yeah, man. That's some good old gaming. But we are going to close up here. I mean, I will reach out to you soon, and we'll talk soon. Yeah, bye guys. We'll talk to you later, Taupe. Everybody else, thanks for joining today on the 13th episode of the PureJoy Podcast. That was my guest, TaupeBear. The boy TaupeBear goes by TaupeBear on all of the online communities. You can find him on Twitch, on YouTube for his edited stuff. Go check him out. He's just a good friend. We met, like he said, on these online communities, and have developed a friendship through that. That's where I learned about his partner. I learned about his partner's child, like long before all of this. We've talked, we've chatted, we've conversed about all this. I know him so much, and it's just from, you know, being friends over this online
service. It's fantastic. It's fantastic that we are able to develop these relationships. It's also fantastic that he finds so much joy in being a father and being that sort of force in somebody's life, that raising force, getting to see his children grow and develop and learn things as they do is a fantastic experience. Not one that like when you as an adult see another adult learn a new thing, you say, good job, you learned a new thing. But you're wrapped up in the things that you know or the things that you're doing. But when you see a child learn something for the first time or do something for the first time, you feel like joy for them. You see that connection be made, and there's just like there's not another experience, I feel like, any other way like it. A great episode, great diving into that feeling, that vibe, that experience with him in being a father and in finding his private time outside of that, and in playing some video games and developing this community online. Absolutely fantastic. A few thanks I want to give out here on the episode, folks. The intros, the outros, as well as the transitions in between all of the things you will have heard. MioWnize and M3rda. They allow me to use their music in the podcast and for the podcast as a whole, and I could not be more appreciative. You can find them on Soundcloud, Spotify, wherever you find your music. They are out there. You'll be able to find them down in the description below of this episode. And I want to thank Taupe for coming out, being a fantastic guest. I want to thank his partner, Maddie. I appreciate all around the Bear household in making this happen tonight. I appreciate all of you for coming to listen. Folks, let's talk some dates. Sunday, November 20th will be our next live recording on YouTube. Make sure that you come check us out if you want to see the live recording of that episode. A good old-time friend of mine, probably the oldest friend I have, is coming to be a guest. And then that episode, the 14th episode, will be out on the 27th of November, so keep an eye out then on your podcatchers, wherever you get your podcasts. And other than that, folks, I think that's going to do it for us today. I want to appreciate everyone for coming to join on the 13th episode of the PureJoy Podcast, and we'll see you next time, folks.